Right, okay. This is a bit of a rat job. So I've called it the Amp Camp Rat Tramp amplifier. I built this box to hold different amplifiers originally, but I'm using it as a makeshift box for now. I'm going to show you what's going on in here. These chassis, what I'm looking at here, let me grab a pencil here. These chassis, these were on another amplifier, part of another amplifier. There's one over here. Let me zoom in a little bit for you so you can have a bit of a better look. These, yeah, they're off another amplifier basically. I'm just using these as a temporary chassis unit, but I'm sure you all know these little John Lindsley Hood amplifiers, 1969 jobs. Right, I'll tell you how I'll set this up anyway. I'm using a VTX-146-300-224 transformer, oversized for this amplifier. It doesn't need to be that big. 300 VA, 300 watts. According to the paperwork, you can use anything over a 100 watt, but I've gone for a 300 watt to give it a bit of extra oomph to take away some of the horrible current that comes from the mains. It's a dual primary, dual secondary output, as you can see, 24 volt output. That comes into this board here, which is a DIY board. I built this one myself. Does the job. Goes out of there, goes onto these FT caps, F&T German caps, very good quality caps actually, I must say. Normally when you buy caps, you measure them with a voltmeter. They normally come up around about 95 microfarads, 9500 microfarads. These actually register 10,000.1 microfarad out of the box, so they are good anyway. FT caps, German caps. Carries on past the DIY power supply board that I've kind of designed and built myself. Well, I built it myself. The design I've taken from schematics on the internet, so it's not really, I can't really say I've designed it, although I have done what I wanted to do. Does the job. Comes over here to these buck converters. Let me turn the buck converters on and see what's going on there. Comes over here into these buck converters. These are 5 amp buck converters, although I wouldn't put 5 amps through them. The most I'd probably put through them is around about 3 amps at the most, but I'm only drawing 1.4 amps on each board. Comes out of the buck converters over here onto the JLH 1969 little amplifiers, which, as most of you probably know, they go up to about 15 watts. This one here, I've changed these transistors because one of these blew recently. I don't know if it's because I made a mistake myself or it just blew. The other one was fine, and one blew. So anyway, I've taken away the ones that come with it are these ones over here, which are ST Malaysia caps. These ones might be genuine, I'm not sure. The ones that were over here, the writing rubbed off the transistors very quickly, very easily. So I've replaced these 2 transistors with RS ones, which are these ones here. If you turn this around, these ones here. These are genuine RS transistors, good quality. So so this board here, the nearest one, these have got decent quality transistors, and this one's got the ones that originally come with it, but I am going to get another 2 of the RS ones and replace them for ultimate quality and reliability. I'm also going to replace these 4 capacitors here, and that I think that's the output capacitor. I'm going to replace them on both boards because they, as far as I'm aware, they are fakey ones. Don't get me wrong though, it all sounds pretty good. I can't fault it. It's pretty clear. When I put a multimeter on DC mode on the speaker terminals, I'm getting 0.01 millivolt. Sometimes it jumps down to 0 and sometimes it jumps up to 1. So I can't really fault it. It's pretty damn good in that respect. Sound quality is very good. Depending on what I'm using, if I come over here, I'm using a laptop. If I come out of the laptop and go into a, what's it called, hum destroyer, and then onto one of these volume controllers here, these Duke, I think they're made, D-O-U-K, I think. It's not a pre-amplifier, it's just a volume controller, so it's nice and clean, it's not plugged into the mains. If I come straight from the laptop, through the hum destroyer, onto the volume controller, into the amplifier, I don't get no background noise whatsoever. It's absolutely crystal clear. So I can't complain about that, and I'm not going to. Let's turn these back off a minute. Where are we? It's crystal clear. There's no background humming, no buzzing, no nothing. So I'm very happy with it. It's very good. If I go through this mixer here, if I come out of the computer, go through that mixer and then onto the amplifier, I do get a low, very, very, very faint buzzing, but you have to put your ear right up to the speaker in order to hear that buzzing. But that's simply only because of the preamp in the mixer. It's an old mixer, so I can't really fault it too much. But you only hear that light buzzing if you put your ear right up to the speaker. And unless you're a bit of an idiot, no one actually sits an inch away from the speaker and listens to the music, do they? As soon as you come around about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches away, you can't hear nothing at all. It's crystal clear. So I can use it through a mixer with a preamp in it, and it's still good sound quality. But I know it's pretty much damn perfect if I don't go through a preamplifier or an old preamplifier, say, and I just come from the computer through a destroyer, hum destroyer, and then onto a volume control, a passive volume control. It's crystal clear, it's lovely. I really can't fault it, to be honest with you. So I'm not an electronics expert, but out of curiosity, I normally play it by ear, and if it sounds good and I'm not hearing any bad noises, as far as I'm concerned, it's pretty damn good. But because my curiosity gets the better of me, I'm going to get myself a little handheld oscilloscope, one of those 30 or 40 pound ones, just a basic oscilloscope, because these buck converters, apparently they give off around about 30 millivolts of ripple. So what I'm going to do is, when I get one of those little oscilloscopes, I'm going to see just how much ripple is coming off of them and going to the amplifiers. Although, like I say, I'm not really that fussed because I'm getting 0.01 millivolts on the speaker terminals using a multimeter on DC. So it's pretty good. I can't really fault it. But because the curiosity gets the better of me, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to get another 2 of these RS transistors, because they're genuine, and I'm going to replace the other 2 on the other board. And I am going to also, like I said, I'm going to replace those 5 capacitors on each board for Nichicon gold caps or Moose caps, audio grade, because they're good quality. And that will improve it even further, even though I can't You know, like I say, I play it by ear, and it sounds good. That's good enough for me. But I'm going to go through a oscilloscope just to see what's going on the ripple. And if I am getting a certain amount of ripple, what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of where are we? I've got a couple of good quality capacitors here. I think they're 0.33 microfarads, and I'm going to cut these wires, the power wires coming from the buck converters going to the amps. I'm going to cut the red wire, break the red wire, and I'm going to go through these Riker capacitors, because they should, if there's around about 30 millivolts of current ripple coming from the buck converters, if I go through these caps, and they're good quality caps, if I go through them, it should reduce the ripple down to a minimum. If they don't work, I can try a slightly different capacitor and see what happens, but I won't know that until I go through an oscilloscope. If I can get that ripple down to next to nothing, down to maybe 0.5 millivolts, and then with changing the 5 capacitors on each board for Nichicon gold caps or Moose caps, it'll sound even better than what it does now. I can't even fault it now, really, to be honest. I'm finding it hard to fault it. So, but it will improve it further still and give better sound quality to the amps. I've got according to the paperwork, they reckon, obviously you set the supply voltage to half of the input voltage, and I'm using 24 volts, and I've set the voltage, the halfway voltage, down to 12 volts obviously. They also say they recommend 1.2 amps of current. I've got it set to 1.4. I think the reason they say 1.2 is possibly due to the fact that, you know, they're using cheaper components, but also they recommend 8 ohm speakers. I'm actually using I've got a little set of Kefs. I do have a pair of Bauer & Wilkins DM602 Mark IIs, which are 8 ohm, but at the moment I'm currently using these little Kef Q15s, which are 6 ohm. So just so that I don't have to worry about clipping or anything like that, I've set the current to 1.4 amps of current on each board, and half the supply voltage, 12 volts. 24 going in, 12 volts half the supply voltage. It sounds great to me. Get a nice bass sound, nice treble, nice mid-range, all sounds good. I did use initially linear voltage regulators, which were attached to this board, this metalwork over here, the chassis, but it didn't take long to get very hot. And I'm already over here. There's a fan, you can probably hear it. There's a fan here, only because it's inside this box, and this chassis does get quite warm. If the fan wasn't on, it actually gets quite hot, and because it's inside a box, it's a bit worrying. So I've got a fan on there, although once the lid's on you don't really hear it, to be honest. It's not too bad. When I was using the voltage regulators, this chassis was getting so hot. When I say you could fry an egg on it, I am really not joking. You could. It was actually worrying me. I didn't actually want to put the lid on the box. It was getting that hot. So I decided to go with the buck converters, because they make sense, and if it's inside a box. However, like I said, this is all a temporary setup. If I can get hold of a decent box, aluminium, I will carry on using the buck converters, but I don't know how long they're going to last. I mean, they're only £5.50 a piece. I don't know how long they're going to last, but if they fail, I won't buy new ones. I will go back to using good quality linear voltage regulators, and I'll put a capacitor on the way in and a smaller capacitor on the way out, and I will fit them onto a decent sized heatsink, but not inside the box. They'll have to be on the outside because they get bloody hot, to say the least. Anyway, otherwise, apart from that, leaving it as it is, sounds great, sounds good. I fully understand it. The reason I've gone through this way is because decided to go like this is because I kind of like, I'm not an electronics expert, and I don't want to buy an amplifier and not quite understand it 100% because they've over-engineered it, or it's awkward to work on because of the way it's designed, and don't want to have to take it to a shop when it breaks down because it just becomes expensive and never goes away, sort of thing. So, in the way of expense, the reason I've done it like this is because these things came as a kit, so I've built these myself, so I've got a good understanding of what's going on. They're easy to understand, you know, if you get a problem with them, easy to check the components, easy to find a fault, easy to replace and work on. Obviously these are bolted down to the box from the underneath, so I can just remove 4 bolts, unscrew everything and just whip these out very quickly when I need to. Same on that side. The transformer I bought, I wouldn't recommend trying to build one of them, not of that size anyway. As I say, I built this myself, so I fully understand what's going on here. There's no soft start circuitry on here, but they're not powerful amplifiers. I mean, if you've got amplifiers of maybe 30 watts upwards, then I'd maybe recommend a soft start mechanism. But when they're only up to about 15 watts per channel and you've got 100 watt speakers attached to them, you do get a little bit of a thump when you turn it on, but it's a minimal sort of thump. It's nowhere near going to damage the speakers. So it was just easier and cleaner to just build a straightforward power supply and use good quality capacitors. I'm using a couple of varistors, whatever you pronounce them. They're rated at 39 volts maximum, so no more than 39 volts will come in. Going through a couple of bridge rectifiers. I don't know if you can see them, very good bridge rectifiers. Coming up here to going through these capacitors, FT caps, going through a 1.5 fuse, then going on through a couple of smaller capacitors. I can't remember what size they are now. I think 0.1 microfarads. I can't even remember now, but I put 2 in. 2 of them together. I don't need to be honest with you. I could have just left it as 1, or I could have used a slightly higher one after the first one or before it and come down gradually, but I've used a couple of ones identical. Then a couple of 5 watt 10k resistors to drain the capacitors. But I fully understand what's going on. If there was a fault with the power supply, I can easily trace it and repair it. If the power supply section is good and there's something wrong with the amplifiers, I could easily trace it to find a fault. So I never have to take this amplifier to a shop to have it repaired. I can keep these for the rest of my life now, save myself a lot of money. Sounds great, sounds clean. Class A, as you know. And as long as you use good quality components, good quality speakers, and you do the job properly, you have a nice quality little amplifier. I know some people say, well, Class D, you know, for a little bit and for the same price as what it's cost me to put all this together, I could have bought something like a Class D little Fossey amp or something, and they, you know, it's supposed to be 200 or 300 watts per channel, but Class D is a more complicated amplifier, more complicated to work out what's wrong if something goes wrong, and if you're not an expert, you'll have to take it to a shop and it's going to end up costing you more money, blah blah blah. And to be honest with you, I don't see the point of having an amplifier that can give you 200 or 300 watts per channel, considering a pure 100 watts can kill you, according to the experts. So are you really getting 200 or 300 watts of power? Not really, not genuine wattage. You're not. I'd prefer to go with a couple of little amps like this. I don't turn the volume up more than halfway, so I'm probably only pushing maybe 7 or 8 to 10 watts per channel at the max maximum 10 watts per channel. You never turn an amplifier up to its full capacity, do you, because of the distortion? So it's nice clean sound, a good sort of wattage. It's not pretend wattage. Anyway, that's about it. I mean, there you go. Hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. See you later.